freerobux.com.
What?
What the hell?
Well, that's one way to start chapel service on Naked Spaghetti. Hi, everyone.
Oh, I didn't even know it was started. I was just looking at a comment that said someone went on freerobux.com and got PayPal hacked. The poor boy.
Oh, yay. Well, somebody should, so that guy should take somebody to court over that. Perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, last time on the show, we were trying to get the jury to overturn the guilty verdict so we can continue the trial so that we can further question Wario and Waluigi on the stand. So let's get going.
Oh, I can't wait to see these two.
How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
All right, then. Juror number 3. Are you saying you could do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints?
Of course I can.
Very well, then. I'd like you to demonstrate.
I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all.
Take that!
All right. These 2 prints were both taken with the same camera in Windy Banks on the night in question.
Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. Do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle?
Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday.
Kitty!
The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the positions of some objects. Then, when your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth.
Yes, exactly.
It's that small shift between certain objects in the 2 pictures that's really important.
So what happens if you use 2 photographs that are exactly the same then?
No. Obviously, that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene 3-dimensionally, anyway.
Oh! Of course! Now I see.
Ah! I think the young girl has discovered the secret.
Secret formula.
I have.
Oh no, Mr. Krabs, what are we gonna do?
Charles went cross-eyed on us.
Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me?
Have another look at these 2 pictures from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on. Can you see that there's really obvious difference between them?
Of course there is. There are 2 people in the first and no people in the second.
Well, yes, you can see that straight away. But now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions.
All right, I'll give it a go. So, to start with, you have to cross your eyes and then try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap in the middle. Wait. Gah! What's going on with these 2 pictures? Some of the things on the counter sort of jump out at you. I'm doing it the proper way.
Yes, yes, yes. That's it, you see? That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes.
Other amazing power? Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh?
Put coffee on your crotch.
Why the deuce do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out you like that,
I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question.
Basic principles of the stereoscope.
As I said before, if you try to look at two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally.
In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions.
Yes, that must have been.
Now hold fire there, sir! Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does the shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master.
What? Me? I haven't the first idea.
Iris.
You know, it's quite simple.
It is?
Excuse me. Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m. And 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appeared to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means...
That means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Zulkas!
Someone tampered?
New information, stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far, stop.
Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Waluigi brothers. Wait. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands, and Lucy lockets is meaning pockets. But this is another lie? Is this what you are saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Oh, hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that.
I quite agree. The accused is a common pickpurse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal.
I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windybank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Waluigi brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony.
Waluigi brothers, what? But the accused is a pickpurse. Common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here?
Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact worse, than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by two thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair.
Wait, he's a doctor?
Yes, he was a doctor.
Oh, God.
Now, where did I put those glasses?
I mean, based on the time period, the bar was pretty low.
Yeah, right.
Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You'll see their extraordinary potential firsthand.
Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
And earlier she was saying stereoscopes are trash.
Hilariously ironic.
Child's toy.
Now
And
I'm
I
going to buy
first am a
church.
child at heart.
Okay. And appropriate because Christmas is 3 days away. But that means that almost Christmas was not Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
We gotta do that meme in 2 days. Whoa, it would seem this trial has yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I ordered this trial to continue.
Yay! Well done. Oh, by the way,
What?
you should hold on to this, Uno. You never know when it might come in useful.
Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely. But alright. Lord Van Zeeks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. I've won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent.
Ooh, oh.
Oh my.
Wah! Wah! No probing! Wah!
Not do him first. Do him first.
No, you do him first.
Not that kind of probe, you perverts!
No, not the tennis racket.
I'll give you something sweet to suck on.
Wonder if the visitors are here.
I
Order.
don't know.
Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. And there's your favorite character, Circus. I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination?
Ah, yeah, governor.
I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Gor blimey.
This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windy Banks.
Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it?
It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets. However, that was a lie. You brothers
in a van.
God blimey! On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter.
We never nothing of the sort.
How'd you figure that out?
Eh?
You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time, you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment.
We just looking for blood to drink.
Yeah, no shit.
My wife was thinking about spanking a little while ago. Might add a few more victims to the table.
Whoa, keep your fetishes away from me.
Yeah, exactly. And that gentleman may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps.
Say no more, God, we hear you.
We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach.
All right, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing.
It was when we heard the gunshots, see? Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying.
Yummy. It didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter come out the door and get us next.
We stuck everything back where we found it and scrappered. Straight into him in the black.
We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we?
So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Wendybank's countertop on the night in question.
Not ransack, Governor, no.
That's right, Nash. That's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah.
I'm in a room full of idiots, he looks like.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's gonna lose his shit.
He is.
Time to bring out the whip that I stole from Simon Belmont.
Woo!
Oh boy, hit a wall so we can get a pork chop.
Yeah, exactly.
Castlevania, you're going into Castlevania territory here.
Do you need some holy water? Sorry? But by their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess.
The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all.
We don't, Nash, we don't. Can I make us sound a bit more cutthroat?
You better not steal my bloody fish, you bastard.
Alright, that does look deservingly delicious.
I will hit you upside your head.
Ah!
Snap! Oh, what did I tell you?
It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Wendybank's that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it.
Wario, can you steal that fish and chips from Detective Bowser over there?
What did I tell you? No hands on my fishy chips, you bloody bastard.
So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all those things off the counter?
Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on.
Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up at that bang.
Big Brother screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot.
That got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame. What knocked them scales on the floor. You really mastered working quietly then. What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave at a clatter like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise.
And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, BAM!
I knew you had your mouth open that wide.
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Saying, I don't appreciate being locked in with these scoundrels.
No, something to add about their testimony? You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something?
It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, case don't get solved if you ignore the little details.
How about you just tell us what's on your mind?
As you know, we brought these fellas in to the yard for questioning last.
Circus? Did we lose?
Here?
I don't know, she seemed like it. Circus, if you're here, I think your mic just dropped. It's probably like one of the times you don't need to do a mic drop.
I don't know what it is about Windows 11, but it keeps kicking me off Skype.
Interesting.
I know, trying to get the thing back.
Did it?
You claim you had the victim shot, so
Uh-oh. Did you get kicked off again?
Sounds like.
Might have, Gov. Might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it.
and it did it to me again, god damn it. Fuck you, Windows.
Huh?
Alright, well, I got you up, so...
Okay, I'm just trying to get the screen up on my end.
Alright.
It's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feel like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas?
If I did discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto there proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them.
Easy, easy.
We'll get it right this time.
That's it. Yep, it's all coming back to me now.
Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs. Right you are, Gov.
I still want them fish and chips.
Stay away from my bloody fish and chips before I smack you again.
Ah.
Objection.
And that's for thinking about it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You've got the picture.
Yes, Nash, yes, no question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not holding a firearm of any description. You what?
You what, Mike?
Gordon Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection.
There could be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident.
I thought you were supposed to be Gordon Ramsay for a bit.
Gordon Ramsay. Oh, Jamie Oliver.
I would remind the court that Mr. Windybank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand.
No.
Yeah, that Multooler used the victim's own gun to finish him off.
Give me that gun!
Bah!
Kind of thing.
Hold it.
Stay exactly where you are. Right there.
Ah!
If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence that supports your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments?
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, if I could ask the court to study the photograph of the victim's body again, you can clearly see that Mr. Windybank was in fact shot from behind. Ah! So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Yeah! Bunny Prince Charlie! But it's the God honest truth.
It is, Nash, it is. When we were shot that night.
The shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes.
Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windybank holding a gun?
Comment like that might have slipped out.
Ladies and- Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun, which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Nash,
Yeah!
Order! Order! Order!
I'll have a cheeseburger.
Witnesses, explain yourselves at once.
Well, the thing is, it weren't supposed to,
It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you.
Done.
Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
Ever so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we,
cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we blab now, you know what he'll do to us.
He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you.
Rob, come on. The game's up.
But he'll have our guts for garters.
In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that your brothers met face-to-face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
Well...
Do we have to?
On pain of death.
Ooh.
I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth.
Ain't fucking around, dudes.
No.
Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug.
Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we had it.
For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter.
I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room.
It never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear.
So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, this time...
This time, Ash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide.
Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord.
This is it. The moment I've been waiting for.
Sick of boy.
Can we at least have those fish and chips before we die by the vampire?
No.
Damn it.
I'll buy my fish and chips.
But you have an endless supply in there. You could give us some.
It's only for me and me alone. Sorry.
You say he had nothing to do with it?
Nothing at all.
Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he?
Locked it was, from the inside.
We know it was, because we tried to open it.
But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Ah!
Make this his hand.
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, counsel?
I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could have possibly shot Mr. Windybank?
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Eh? What?
What's that look for?
From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face-to-face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend?
Racist.
The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windybank, and it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel? You must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums. Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe? Indeed. Namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Understood, my lord.
Uni?
What, are you alright for now?
I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I could prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Wendybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death. Which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony,
I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room.
if Mr. Wendybank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. Ah! It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom.
Whack! Ah!
Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the beginning of the trial?
Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself.
Poor man. Shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety.
Ah, of course! He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Wendybank.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? But... What if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I'm inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel?
What did I tell you to keep your hands off my fish and chips now?
Yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Get off the weed immediately. Remember that, please.
but of course Ginny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it?
It does?
Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they?
Oh, yes. Obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windybank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windybank must have heard the intruders breaking into a shop and left the storeroom.
Intruders, huh? That's us, bruv.
If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windybank fell to the floor where he was just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
Ah! I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windybank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it. In order to save her own life.
But we ain't the ones who done it.
We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one.
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah.
There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windybank's murder.
Yeah!
That was amazing, Bruno. The members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know. First time ever. And probably the last.
Well, I think you've done it. Surely they'll have the verdict of no.
An admirable effort, my learned friend. What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zeeks? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly, credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw? Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? I say, Lord Van Zeeks. Mightn't an idea to explain this bully conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets.
I'm surprised he didn't set the place on fire.
By George! Count bullets?
Oh dear. He noticed then.
Huh? What's everyone talking about? Counsel. Yes, sir? Tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime. 2. 2 bullets. Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes straight right before your eyes. Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness, I think you'll find...
That if the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Windybank's not shot by the same gun. Stop. When only 1 bullet. Stop. Beep, 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 beep.
Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a divisionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny.
Ugh. Blah!
Ow. Order! Order! Order!
Chicken nuggets, please.
I'll have a number 9.
And another bottle of wine, please. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery.
One leg.
That was my. That was my hand, you fucking dumbass!
You went for my fish and chip style.
Lord Van Zeeks? But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present.
The disc.
I'll be taking that, whatever it is, gilded down to the yard. Thank you very much.
is mine.
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belongs to McGill, it has to be taken in as evidence now.
Yes, that music box disc. McGilded's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank. The accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious! Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths of which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crimes she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the defendant's character.
Lord Van Zix,
Inspector Gregson? What?
What's going on here?
Yes, Inspector?
We had a meeting yesterday at Scotland Yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence.
What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely?
Yow!
That's the first time he said anything to Van Seeks at all. I am unaware of any such meeting.
But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent.
Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed, bailiff. The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. I don't believe it. I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes.
Oh dear. It wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo.
Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of a fog up till now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden... The answer's bully obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh, no. Very well. The court will hear from the jury.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leadings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Ouch.
That doctor's gonna is gonna hurt his head doing that.
Yep.
I know.
We have a consensus among the jury, it seems. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Hey, that's my line.
Mic drop. Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Wendybank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Garadeb Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty.
My precious.
Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say that this whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw that I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me.
That's not fair.
Iris?
The prosecutor is being mean.
Well, yeah, I'm a prosecutor. I'm not meant to be nice.
Just because Ginny's done some things she shouldn't have in the past. That doesn't make her a murderer.
Jeez, the way it makes it sound like Gina's taking stuff from the cookie jar.
Yeah. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out. Eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Ow! Yes, my lord. And by the way, what were those cookies? Were they chocolate chip, oatmeal, gingerbread?
You'll never know.
I was gonna say, what kind would have been made in around this time?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's got to be like late 19th century.
Probably a sugar cookie.
Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on What was the fellow's name now? Herlich? No. Herlock? No. Hairlock? Herlock Sholmes by any chance? Yes, good lord! It was that Hairlock fellow. What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes?
Santa Claus gonna pull out a can of whoop ass.
That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I could tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid that I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but
Yes?
surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting.
The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in this photographic print.
The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Huh. Who do you think I am, son?
Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a
pancake.
Yeah, like a pancake!
I did not read ahead. I was.
That was perfect, Self.
Oh gosh.
We timed that almost perfectly again.
Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all.
What?
That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I said about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser, even now. How many times do I have to say it?
Damn.
Could somebody please explain how it happened? Could somebody please solve the mystery?
It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other.
Ooh, a ballistics expert.
Pitting. P-I-T-T. On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Valen. Pleased to meet you.
Her daddy.
There's apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away around Mountain Road in freezing cold.
Golly!
The snow is piling high on both sides of road.
It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from Doctor. They could not find bullet in my body. And no sign of, how do you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? Bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? Bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound. Good gracious. Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me. And that is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. Hmm? The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
Bruno, where exactly was Haley shot again?
Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he always wears his little pouch on his belt.
A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of a very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
What? Really? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well. The fellow had nothing like that on his person when we arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may. Lord Van Zeeks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound. Thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Oh, poor Dr. Santa.
So wait, we have Judge Santa and now we have Dr. Santa? How is that possible? What's next? A bad Santa? What's next? What's
Well,
next?
it is December.
What is next? Santa's gonna conquer, like, aliens in outer space?
Yes, and stay tuned, chat. That's what we're doing Friday.
What's gonna be next? Santa's gonna be hanging out with the ice cream bunny? That's another movie that we need to watch. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely inconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Gotta go fast! I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that! One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burglaring brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I could sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence.
Hell's pouch isn't scruffy.
Yes, it's not a crime-fighting dog. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Renosuke. There's still a way to turn this around. Somehow. I'm sure of it.
Hurley always turns up at just the right moment.
Does he always come in the form of a pouch? Seriously, though, it sounds like the Great Detective was on death's door. Or, if you want to be a JoJo fan, a Heaven's Door. But maybe...
Don't turn my face into a manga, okay?
Yes. I mean, hey, you write novels. What's next? You could be writing manga. I can introduce you to some manga, Iris. I don't know if that existed back in the late 1900s, but I'll be the first one to do it.
No, I think manga was invented in the 1900s.
I'll take
But-
up on that offer.
But maybe his injuries won't be for nothing. That pouch could be a very valuable clue.
It's only 2 bullets so far at the scene. I'd say this whole...
It's the number of bullets that has you convinced?
Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them might have been examined by the police. When the parlor maids ask me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings.
Well, that's logical, I suppose.
Although,
Yes?
sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests, rather like the fine china.
Does your employer dine with thieves?
So I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere of which we are unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position.
A third bullet somewhere on the scene? Could that be possible? Allow me to show you, then, the third bullet.
Go lay down, honey. Boy.
It's really scorched badly just here.
Ah, the strap is broken. Look.
This must be where the bullet hit, then.
Let me see.
What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it?
That's the Skulkin Brothers bullet.
What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is there were 3 bullets fired at Windy Banks that night.
We found exactly what the jury was talking about. The third bullet.
It's time to press that juror again, I think.
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windy Banks Pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. Two guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windybank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each.
But that must mean...
That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Ugh.
I think just had a heart attack.
Order! 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 What? No McDonald's orders this time? What the fuck, Circus? I'm running a fast food joint here. I need the money.
Yeah, I want tacos now.
I don't sell that here.
I didn't say nothing.
Ay ay ay.
And if it makes you feel any better, shit, it slipped my mind.
Okay.
I'll think about it later.
While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination.
By Jupiter!
What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. So the judge basically said, fuck you, jury.
Why I never stop.
Witnesses.
Governor!
Were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was.
Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that?
Make of it, Gov? I don't make nothing or nothing if I can't help it.
Is it one of yours?
Go blimey, Gov, go blimey, not a chance.
In that case, did you have an accomplice?
What? What? Never! The Skulkin brothers work alone!
It's just the two of us, that's our trademark. Just the two of us. We could make it if we try.
How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it?
Lummy, that's an head scratcher.
Counsel for the defense.
Yes?
I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard, and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. On that night at Windy Bank's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present. Someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pigs will. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man, if this apparently wrath-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel. I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity, even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is... The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. Ow! I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene?
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove! That portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it?
Take that!
What am I looking at here? These appear to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a blood stain, my lord. A blood stain? Green blood? Curious, even for you.
It was the Mars. Hey, shut up!
So our intruder is a Vulcan, then? Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature?
That's what I just said.
It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
By the great detective!
So,
She's not here. You want me
Oh
to
no, I'm sorry. I just needed a moment. New inventions, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop.
It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This focus sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its colors.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes. Everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So by seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is.
Ooh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood.
Talk of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop.
As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windybank. Ah, a striking blue. I'm blue, dabba dee ba dee die. Yes, so you see the green color of this blood stain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop. Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windybank was killed. By golly! Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. Then whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? The man's name is Edgar Benedict. Edgar Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, Council? He paid a visit to Windy Bank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Edgar Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker.
Lucas.
Right. Yeah, yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes, yes.
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say,
I totally forgot I was Mr. Windybank for a minute.
yes, victim is dead. Any music box discs, too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector?
Yes, my lord. That is more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windybank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his rabbi-handed recorders, Gibson Jobbernis.
Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windybank that morning. And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice? Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin?
Never seen a geezer before in me life.
On me life, Gov, on me life, never seen him.
They're sweating bullets. They're guilty.
Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can.
Then show us the evidence.
I agree. We must see proof that this clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is.
This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel? Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet.
Alvino, look! This is blood!
Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before.
Then it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, let's deal with that disc, Bruno.
Can we get this done quickly, Iris?
In a flash. Ta-da!
Green!
Ooh, a lovely bright shade of green.
Wait, that color.
What is it?
It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it?
Take that!
Okay.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully, admittingly, to reclaim this disc from Windy Banks. Which is when the aforementioned Egbert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. My voice.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine.
Oh! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal!
I'll fuck your tail.
Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. And the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a blood stain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the blood stain here in this very courtroom.
You see? A trusty fogger gun.
Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say.
It's green.
Exactly the same.
The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Egbert Benedict, who was in Windy Banks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night.
Rumble.
Robble, 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 robble. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Egbert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Herlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the blood stain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Ah, well... Sexy time!
Oh! Where the hell is Ghosty right now?
And
See-
pray. Do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it. Ugh. Robble, 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 robble. I knew it would come to this.
That vampire guy's really pissing me off.
You're feeling it too, huh? Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have?
I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before.
What? I was called by my real name!
We can go home now.
About how he was temporarily suspended the summation examination.
Ah!
In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief! What did you just say, young girl? Besides calling me Father Christmas?
And in an examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the very hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it?
Fuck.
So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now.
Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
And she's only 10.
It just really comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Runo, is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
I have a feeling she can be right about this.
Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris
Our father.
Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd persists of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd! Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
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 Not guilty.
Two call guilty and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection.
My lord,
Go again.
with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt.
Oh shit!
I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. Ugh.
My
Ah!
God.
Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Edgar Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who is that, please? Who spoke?
Beep, beep, beep. So,
She had to go. May I take over?
Yeah.
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5? What have you to say, madam?
If possible. Inspector,
madam.
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown. Welcome back,
well-
Sylph.
Hi, Sylph.
Thank you.
Ah, right, yes. This one, you mean? Of Mr. Benedict?
Yeah, the desk government. Yes. There's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5. You don't mean to say... You know this man?
Yes, I know him.
Holy shit! What the fuck? Good gracious me, bitch!
That means jury, right?
Order! 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 I'm serving burger and fries!
Big Mac, please.
I'm not McDonald's! This is Father Santa's!
Why would you do that?
Juror number 5, how on earth?
I am a communications officer. Stop.
As we can clearly see.
The gentleman in the photograph is. Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop.
Oh shit.
Damn.
A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right.
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. But it's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day. Whatever he gets up to at night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zeeks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste. As your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony.
I call dibs on the swings.
Inspector Gregson, the swings.
Hello.
I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess.
Oh man! Yes, my lord.
And make sure you bring the secret recipe for those fish and chips you have. I plan to serve them in my fast food joint.
Never.
Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. Well, now's as good as time as any to stop.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, now we have to find out exactly who this guy is. That's not even his real name. All right, well, I guess we're all going to go head over to my new restaurant.
I want my Big Mac. You
I don't serve Big Macs. I'm not McDonald's.
You have
It's
to go to Ghost
copyrighted.
McDonald's, Mr. Windibanks.
I'm not. I'm Father Christmas.
And where's those elves? I need that one that wants to be a dentist to look at my teeth.
Look, I could sell Little Macs. Oh wait, I can't even do that either. That's a Nintendo character. Shit.
And where's Rudolph? I got a bone to pick with him.
What? I can't talk about what we use for the meat.
We can always try to find somewhere that's a little bit towards the area of a certain laundromat.
I'll just take that giant chicken that you have in that laundromat.
Oh no! You can't have any dibs on him. The guy that's buying golf clubs across the street is already trying to get his hands on them.
Bitch.
At least the meat's not bunny meat, if you know what I'm getting at.
Elliot, what are you doing?
Gordon Ramsay came by my kitchen the other day and he said it was fucking shit. I told him not to swear in front of the elves, but he called them... I'm not going to even use the words that he said, but he didn't like my food.
For a minute.
He's like, we don't use reindeer meat. Nobody likes reindeer.
And your soda tastes like piss.
This isn't even soda. It's just water with bubbles in it. Did you blow into this straw and just pretend that it was carbonated water? Well, what else was I gonna do? We don't do sugar here.
You did sugar. We sell cookies.
Did you literally, for a pudding, give me a lump of coal as a dessert? Are you shitting me?
Okay, so everybody, if you're thinking about making yourself a nice plate of pasta, some like angel hair noodles, or even your special spaghetti, make sure you find certain ingredients that seem suitable, like maybe some butter if you're trying to make like a little thing of butter noodles, add a little bit of parsley and what have you.
I would recommend this season going for lasagna rolls.
Ah, the spaghetti monster is getting me. Ah!
The spaghetti monster is taken over. All right. We'll catch you all next week after the holidays and right before New Year's. So until then, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Ah!
Merry December!